Welcome back to Metropol Business Center. My name is Ingrid Nantege, and if you're a small business, remember the conversation revolves around you today. Now, the COVID-19 outbreak continues to affect the private sector in sub-Saharan Africa, putting so many jobs at risk. They include trade and value chain disruptions, which have impacted commodity exporters and companies that are reliant on global value chains to source materials and sell their products. Now, reduced foreign financing flows from remittances, tourism, and foreign direct investments are also threatening business survival and jobs, and disruptions caused by containment measures are also putting pressure on small businesses, rendering many unable to operate given the circumstances. However, even in light of these realities, we've seen organizations like the Jack Ma Foundation take center stage and step in to help the private sector navigate the pandemic and recover from the economic and financial impact of the crisis. The foundation just announced the third edition of its annual $1.5 million grant funding intended to boost entrepreneurship across the continent. Joining me on the show to discuss what the funding means at a time like this and how, as a small business, you can reap from it is none other than Zahra Boateng, the Partnerships and Programs Manager for the Jack Ma Foundation's Africa Business Heroes Prize. Zahra, you're welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much, Ingrid. Thanks for having me on your show.
Absolutely. And also for making time, considering the time difference, but I can't think of a more suited person to have this conversation with. But to get into the beef of, oh, brilliant. So just to get into the beef of the conversation, well, the Jack Ma Foundation most recently announced the $1.5 million grant funding that's going to go towards small businesses. I would like you to just bring us up to speed about this grant and why, more than ever, it's important at a time that we're going through so much with the pandemic.
Sure, Ingrid, I'll be happy to. So the Jack Ma Foundation's Africa Business Heroes program, as you mentioned, runs an annual prize competition. Each year, we look to identify, spotlight, and support 10 entrepreneur heroes who are using their businesses to create positive change in their communities across Africa. As you mentioned, due to the pandemic, several businesses have suffered from the decline in general economic activity and thus decreased revenues. And the Africa Business Heroes Prize will provide 10 entrepreneurs funds ranging from $100,000 to $300,000. And these funds help to not only keep businesses afloat during this time, but importantly, they can help businesses pivot as they adapt to the realities of the pandemic. Many of our 2019 finalists have shared how the grant funds they received helped them to navigate the pandemic, retain staff, and even launch new products and services that were relevant for this current period. Beyond the grant funds, we also provide access to training and mentorship, as well as a community of like-minded entrepreneurs who can provide support, guidance, and insights to navigate the challenges brought about by the pandemic. So we think that this grant is absolutely pivotal. In normal circumstances, it still goes a long way to provide entrepreneurs with capital to expand the operations, and even more now, it's particularly important.
Brilliant, Zahra. Such an amazing initiative at a time when small businesses have gone through so much, with majority of them facing closures. However, even when you talk about the fact that 10 entrepreneurs across the continent are going to reap from this $1.5 million grant funding, who is eligible to tap into these funds? What exactly are you looking at? And I know it's something that's cutting across, different countries on the continent. What countries are you looking at to initiate and rather implement this grant funding?
Great. Ingrid, the main message I'd like your audience to take away is that the Africa Business Heroes Prize is an inclusive and Pan-African competition. So entrepreneurs from all sectors and from all African countries can apply. Entrepreneurs from Kenya, from Libya, any African country at all can apply. We also have a special focus on female entrepreneurs, and so we highly encourage female founders to apply. Beyond this, we do have a set of criteria. Applicants need to be the founder or co-founder of the business. The applicant needs to be an African citizen or the direct descendant of an African national. So that is very important for us. We're looking for African founded, African led businesses. And the business needs to be registered and headquartered in Africa. It needs to have its primary operations in Africa. So what that means is we're not looking for companies that are run by Africans abroad. We're looking for companies that are registered, operated, and create an impact here in Africa. The companies also need to be post-idea stage. So they should have a track record of at least 3 years and market traction. So we want to see that they have revenue going back at least 3 years as well. And to sign up, any interested entrepreneur who meets these criteria just needs to visit africabusinessheroes.org to register an account and then to follow all the steps to apply. Our applications close in a little under 6 weeks on June 7th. So I encourage all viewers who are interested to apply and realize they are eligible. As I mentioned, we're sector agnostic and we're Pan-African, to go ahead and apply, or to recommend the competition to a business hero they know. And on the website, you can actually refer an entrepreneur as well.
Great. Now, Zahra, when we talk about funding for small businesses on the continent, this is a problem that has existed even prior to the pandemic. We've seen a situation where small businesses have just, and I'll speak particularly for the context of Kenya, there's a very, very big gap when it comes to access to credit. We've seen interventions, but still when you talk to, the businesses on the ground, it's still a problem that persists and has actually only been intensified by the pandemic. My question then is, as a foundation that's, putting funding out there to support small businesses, what would you say is the greatest challenge when it comes to businesses trying to tap into such funds? And in line with that, how can then small businesses prepare themselves and so that when opportunities like this come along, they're ready to just easily tap into them, if that makes sense?
100%. So as you mentioned, the biggest gap is around finance. And the biggest constraint is that the funding is very limited on the continent and it's expensive for small businesses. Although the African entrepreneurial ecosystem is growing rapidly, the truth is there is still limited venture capital or angel investment available. And so access to finance is limited. It's a very small pool and the options are also relatively constrained. If entrepreneurs seek to go the more commercial route via, for example, bank loans, they tend to be very expensive. So many businesses that need funding ranging from, say, $100,000 to $1 million are really unable to access that type of funding. And without this funding, they are less able to grow. We also know that although there is a high rate of female entrepreneurship in Africa, females find it harder to access funding than male entrepreneurs due to a range of factors. For example, much of venture capital is led by male-dominated firms, and there are, of course, cultural biases. So for us, we feel that for businesses that aim to make themselves attractive to grants or to access capital, the most important thing is to really demonstrate your unique value proposition, to demonstrate the importance and magnitude of the problem that you're solving. In addition, you need to clearly articulate your value add. There are several different solutions. There'll be competitors to your solution, your business for sure. So what makes your business competitive? What makes it unique? Why are you as a founder uniquely positioned to deliver this solution in a impactful way? And thus why you deserving to receive what is already very limited funds, as we've already established. So last year, for example, we received 22,000 applications and only 10 made it to the final stage. And so to get there, you really need to be able to clearly articulate your mission, your vision, your leadership skills, your potential, and demonstrate your market traction, the stickiness of your products, and competitiveness.
So Zahra, when I was reading out the intro to the conversation, it was evident that the Africa Business Heroes Prize is in its third edition. If I'm not mistaken, it's an initiative that has been in existence since 2019. So if we're to speak of the benefits, if we were to speak of what it has actually managed to achieve and why we keep, why the foundation keeps going forward with this in helping entrepreneurs, what would you say are some of the striking success stories? What has this initiative managed to reap, and what should small businesses look forward to even as they plan to tap into this?
Ingrid, you're right. We've held 2 iterations of our competition thus far in 2019 and 2020. And it's really exciting to see the growth and success of our past finalists. And that for us is what keeps us motivated and keeps us each year coming out to look for entrepreneurs and to support them. We've seen how ABH has contributed to boost their career and business. For example, our 2020 first prize winner is Chebet Lassan, founder and CEO of Bright Green Renewable Energy in Kenya. And she's invested her winning brand to expand her business to take their eco-friendly cooking solution across East Africa. Our 2019 first prize winner, Temi Giwa Tobeson, a CEO and founder of Nigeria-based Life Bank, has used her grant funds to grow her business across Nigeria, as well as to launch in Kenya. She also plans to eventually launch in Ethiopia as well, and to go on to launch in other African countries. So this for us is very inspiring. We're seeing her growth, we're seeing her expansion. She's taken this really critical life-saving solution across the continent from west to east. And she's also gone on to secure further investments, a testament to her impressive achievements, leadership, and growing profile. And in response to COVID-19, we saw her step up. Temi expanded Life Bank's services to include the delivery of oxygen as well as testing. And this is a story that is repeated across board. Several of our finalists have not only expanded operations, but have been able to raise additional investment. They've leveraged the publicity from the Africa Business Hero Show, which is a key benefit of our competition. We captured the stories of our finalists in our televised Africa Business Hero Show to really secure the attention of investors and to secure grant funds. So one of our 2019 winners, Omar Saka of Egypt, has gone on to raise additional investment, and he strongly also attributes this to the mentorship he received from the prize, as well as the publicity. He's also gone on to expand his facilities, becoming the largest private research center in North Africa. And so I would say across board, what keeps us motivated and what we've seen is we've seen expansion in operations, we've seen hiring of additional talent, we've seen our finalists really go on to become leaders in their industry, and this motivates us. So I would say for all those who are interested in applying, some of the key benefits include not just the grant funds, but also the mentorship and training, the publicity that you can receive from the Africa Business Hero Show, as well as a community of other entrepreneurs who can really support.
Now, Zahra, in your line of work, you obviously work directly with entrepreneurs across the continent, and we all know the role the private sector plays in developing countries when it comes to economic growth, contribution to GDP. My question then is, even with the different countries you've worked with across the continent, whether in sub-Saharan Africa, even with initiatives such as the 1.5 million grant funding, would you say like African governments, local governments are doing enough in terms of policies, in terms of creating a suitable environment for small businesses to thrive, even as organizations such as Jack Ma come in to, fill the void? Is there enough being done on a local level, on a personal level by different governments across the continent?
I would say that we've seen tremendous growth. There's always room to improve. There's always more to be done. I would say that as companies increasingly digitize, and we've seen the need for digitization during the pandemic, there's also need to update laws and regulations, of course, to accommodate some of these new type of business models and to support them. But I think we are seeing many governments also being increasingly receptive to small businesses, providing various grants, their own national competitions. So we've seen growth. However, there's always room to, for improvement, whether it's from the private sector, whether it's from government. And we're encouraged by the growth and the momentum that we're seeing. And we do think that there's an increasing recognition of the importance of small businesses and entrepreneurship in driving development.
Finally, before I let you go, Zahra, there's been so much, particularly within the pandemic that we've seen coming from the Jack Ma Foundation, whether be it distributing masks to provide relief, just filling the void and doing what they have to do. In terms of what else should we look forward to as small businesses, what else is in the pipeline? Is there more towards, just buffering this sector that is so fragile and needs all the help that it needs at a time like this? What else is in the pipeline? What should small businesses, look forward to beyond obviously this amazing, huge initiative of the $1.5 million grant funding?
So I would say one of the major exciting developments that the small business can look forward to is the airing of our 2020 Africa Business Heroes show. We did not air it last year, but we will air it this year. And I think it provides so much inspiration because we captured the story and the journeys of 10 entrepreneurs, including Chabat Lassan of Kenya, who not only navigated the pandemic, but who have created businesses that are really creating impact. And we think this can motivate and inspire other businesses, other entrepreneurs who might be struggling during this time, to see such representation on a national, international scale. So that would be something to look forward to. We aim to air it later this year, and we're very excited about the show.
Great. Thank you so much for making time to join us here today to talk about this amazing Africa Business Heroes Prize that so many entrepreneurs can tap into. So if you're watching at home and this is something that could help you turn your business around, then you know what to do. Zahra, you've been amazing, and thank you very much for joining us on the show. That's all I had for you today on Metropol Business Center. Thank you very much for always being so great and amazing for watching. Remember, you can always be a part of the conversation by sending your feedback to our social media handles at Metropol TV KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.